إن شاء الله الملعب لكم والكرة لكم اليوم، وحتسجلوا تاريخ في هاي الأرض من خلال هذا المنتخب، وإن شاء الله الإنجازات يعني تكون في قدر عطاء هالدولة خلال 12 عام اللي مضوا. كل الدعاوي، كل القلوب، كل العيون تتجه الآن إلى المنتخب القطري. كل عربي يتمنى الفوز لهاي البلد، لهذا المنتخب، كرد اعتبار خلينا نقول يعني لبعض الصحف الصفراء اللي ما سلمنا منها خلال الأيام السابقة.
وإن شاء الله طبعا منتخبنا يرجع بالثلاث نقاط. طبعا هذه نذكركم هذه لقطات حية مباشرة للعنابي وهو في طريقه لاستاد البيت طبعا للمباراة الافتتاحية ولافتتاح مونديال قطر 2022. هذا هو الباص متجه إلى استاد البيت، وإن شاء الله يرجع إلى المعسكر بالثلاث نقاط، وأملنا فيكم كبير، وبإذن الله تبيضون الوجه وتكون طبعا مباراة تليق بالعنابي وتليق بالمنتخب القطري كما عودونا دائما بالمفاجآت وبالمباريات وبالأداء الاستثنائي. والله يوفق جميع اللاعبين، واليوم بإذن الله يكون هذا اليوم يومهم بإذن الله. الله يوفقهم إن شاء الله. وإحنا كالعادة طبعا مستمرين في تغطيتنا من خلال برنامج فانز، من خلال طبعا انه نعيش معاكم الفعاليات والأنشطة، ونعيش طبعا معاكم الأجواء الجماهيرية الاستثنائية في قطر. يا
إن شاء الله. أكيد سعود، عندي سؤال لك يعني نعم. إذا بدنا نحصر شوي آراء الجماهير اليوم بالنسبة لمباراة قطر والإكوادور، بعتقد أغلب الناس قالوا 1-0 نعم. لقطر. أنت شو توقعاتك؟
صعب والله، صعب.
سؤال صعب. ما حابب انه تحط رقم معين؟
سؤال صعب يعني. انا الحين ما اقدر اتوقع، بس انتظر على قولتهم صافرة البداية.
ان شاء الله ان شاء الله. انا عن نفسي يعني حنضم للاغلبيه واقول 1-0. بتمنى 2-0 يعني
ان شاء الله. الله يوفق طبعا العنابي في مباراة اليوم، المباراة الافتتاحية، ويوفق طبعا جميع المنتخبات العربية المشاركة. نتكلم عن المنتخب القطري، السعودي، التونسي والمغربي. إن شاء الله فالكم الفوز، وإن شاء الله توصلون يا رب العالمين بعيد في هذه البطولة.
إن شاء الله يا رب. إن شاء الله يعني كلنا تمني وأمال في إنه المنتخبات العربية تقدر توضع بصمتها بالخصوص في هذا المونديال العربي القطري اللي يعني راح يحمل تاريخ جديد للأجيال القادمة. وإن شاء الله يعني هلأ بدنا ننتقل للزميل إسماعيل علي اللي حاليا متواجد في لوسيل. وإسماعيل صاحب الأجواء الولعانة كالعادة، تفضل إسماعيل.
شكرا لكم. طبعا الواحد مع الجماهير، اعذروني انا تلفت يمين ويسار غصبا عني، الكل يناديني. طبعا الجماهير تعرفون انتم المعشوقه كره القدم هي الجمهور هو احلى شيء في كره القدم، فاذا ما تعطيه اهتمام بيزعل منك. فانا طبعا احب جماهيري وانا وسط جماهيري، وعندي يعني فقره طيبه جدا. 2 من ابناء قطر برغم الاعاقه، برغم الظروف الصعبه اللي هم فيها، لانهم جو عن طريق المترو وبيروحون الملعب لمؤازره العنابي. ونقول من بيفوز اليوم؟ العنابي. الله عليك العنابي، والله بيض الله وجهك. شوف ما شاء الله عليه برغم ظروفه جاي وبروح الملعب. وانت ايش رايك اليوم منتخبنا؟ العنابي فايز اليوم؟
فايز.
يا سلام. شوف هاي الرساله هذه تكفيك ان هذول يعني بالرغم من ظروفهم الصعبه، لان العنابي في قلوبهم، واهم شيء مؤازره المنتخب. ومعانا ايضا الاكوادور. They say Qatar will beat you today.
No.
Ecuador win. Qatar. We have one player name المعز. بوم. قطر. معنا اخواننا السعوديين بيفوز اليوم
باذن الله. قطر وجالسين نشجع قطر باذن الله.
خليجنا واحد، احنا ندعم قطر وندعم الامير تميم بن حمد. السعوديه وقطر دولة واحدة.
السعودي قطري والقطري سعودي. الفوز قطري اليوم.
احنا فايزين اليوم اكيد. ما اسمع
باذن الله باذن الله فايزين.
قطر وين سعودي عربيا بيبو.
نو
شوف راي المكسيكي. ماهيكو today Qatar and Ecuador. You fanataco Qatar Ecuador. Who win?
Definitely Ecuador. Somos latinos. Ecuador.
يعني الخليجيين اتحدوا واللاتينوس اتحدوا، معهم حق، متعادلين. ناخذ راي محايد. القطري طبعا، شو رايك؟
ان شاء الله اليوم العنابي فايز.
سلام عليك العنابي. I want one song for Ecuador.
Vamos, ecuatorianos, que esta tarde tenemos que ganar.
وانت ايش رايك بنفوز اليوم؟
3-1
حق من؟
لقطر.
كفو، وان شاء الله هي ليله عنابيه. قطر يعطيكم الصحة والعافية، أجواء جميلة جدا، نولعها هني ما عليكم، الأمور طيبة إن شاء الله عنابية الليلة. ثانك يو، جراسياس.
شكرا طبعا للزميل اسماعيل من محطة لوسيل، وهذه الأجواء المميزة والجميلة وتفاعل الجمهور طبعا وهو متجه إلى استاد الخور أو استاد البيت لحضور طبعا الحفل، وطبعا حضور هذه الأجواء المميزة يا سارة.
أكيد. ما بعرف سعود إذا لاحظت إنه يعني تجهيزات المونديالية
نعم.
يعني على قدم وساق لذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة، لكل الفرق اللي موجودة في المجتمع، يعني في إمكانية للتوصيل لأي حدا متواجد حاليا في الدوحة شو ما كانت احتياجاته. وهلأ بدنا ننتقل عند الزميل أحمد العبيدي اللي حاليا متواجد قدام استاد البيت. حماد العبيدي
متواجد ايضا في خارج الملعب، مثل ما اذكر واتكلم واقول اهل قطر من الساعه 1 قلنا يصلون العصر في الملعب، ولكن صلوا الظهر في الملعب. متواجدين شبابنا الصغار الكبار كل الجنسيات، فعاليات كل 100 متر خارج الملعب في فعاليه للجماهير. حياكم قبل الافتتاح الكبير. شو اسمك؟
سعود.
ونعم يا سعود، مع من جاي؟
اخوي وعائلتنا عائلتي كامله.
اليوم العنابي ايش بيسوي؟
يفوزون ان شاء الله 3-1.
طالعني كم؟
3-1.
3-1.
ايه.
وانت اليوم ما راح توقف اليوم تشجيع؟
ايه.
3-1.
إيه.
الهيدوس والمعز.
عفيف.
يا سلام عليك. من يفوز اليوم؟
قطر.
كم؟
4-1.
4-1. يا سلام، الله يسمع اللهم امين، اللهم امين. يعطيك الصحه والعافيه.
الله يعافيك يا رب حبيب قلبي.
من وين؟
انا من سوريا والله.
يا مرحبا.
يا الله يسلمك.
كلمني الاجواء شلون تشوفها بشكل
طبعا
عام قبل؟
بشكل عام اجواء خرافيه لا مثيل لها، احلام فعلا. نحن في حلم.
يا سلام.
والله في حلم قسما بالله.
وانتم جاهزين للتشجيع اليوم ان شاء الله؟
جاهزين 100% باذن الله.
توقعاتك النتيجه اليوم؟
توقعات 2-0 للعنابي باذن الله.
الله يسمع منك.
الفوز اليوم، ما راح ننام اليوم.
دعوتك مستجابه
باذن الله.
باذن الله.
دعوتنا ودعوه العرب كلها.
اللهم امين. كم النتيجه اليوم؟
والله اليوم الاجواء كثير حماسيه وحلوه، فانا عندي احساس كثير حلو هيك، بحس حالي نشيطه، وان شاء الله بدعو للمنتخب القطري لينجح ان شاء الله ويحقق اهداف كثيره.
اللهم امين. اهداف كثيره. كم النتيجه اليوم؟ قول لي.
5-1.
5-1. الله عليك، والله متفائل ها؟ اللهم امين، اللهم امين. يلا حيهم. يا مرحبا اهل المملكه. راحت الغتره، لكن لاجل الافتتاح لاجل الفوز اليوم الامور طيبه ان شاء الله.
نعم الامور طيبه وباذن الله متفائلين ومبسوطين بوجودنا وسط هالمسرح وهالكرنفال العالمي صراحه.
سلام عليك.
باذن الله ان شاء الله انه فوز قطري باذن الله، بغض النظر عن النتيجه. اهم شيء الفوز صراحه اليوم، لان تعرف دوري المجموعات لازم تفوز في النهايه.
نبي نفوز.
لا لازم نفوز اليوم باذن الله.
افتتاح الاجواء بشكل عام شلون تشوفها برا؟
عالميه، الاجواء اقل ما يقال عنها رهيبه جدا، انا مستمتع جدا صراحه. وباذن الله ان شاء الله ان الامور باذن الله طيبه للجميع باذن الله.
امين يا رب. قول لي.
يا مرحبا. نتمنى الفوز اليوم، بس ترى الفوز الحقيقي هو الفوز بهذا المونديال وهذا الكرنفال، واشكر القاده والاعلاميين وكل واحد عمل دؤوب لانجاح هذا البطوله باذن الله. واليوم مستانسين بوجود اخواننا العرب والمسلمين واخونا من السعوديه. يا مرحبا ونرحب به صراحه.
يا مرحبا
اخوان وربع
باذن الله. ويا مرحبا باذن الله. التوفيق المنتخب 2-0 ان شاء الله.
ان شاء الله فوز ان شاء الله قطري باذن الله.
اللهم امين. بيض الله وجيهكم، يعطيكم الصحه والعافيه. اللهم امين، اللهم امين، اللهم امين. الكل متفائل. ننتظر افتتاح خيالي باذن الله تعالى، ونتيجه باذن الله لمنتخبنا. نرجع لكم على ما نبدل الكاس كفو يقول لك سعود عندك.
طبعا كل الشكر لك يا اخوي حماد. طبعا مثل هذه الاجواء الجميله بين الجماهير هذه يعني اللي موجوده، خلينا نقول من اشهر ولا يومنا هذا التفاعل بينهم، وهذا الاصرار لانجاح طبعا هذا المونديال القطري الخليجي العربي. فمثل هذه الاشياء مو بغريبه
أبداً.
فطبعا الله يوفق الجميع ويوفق العنابي طبعا اليوم في مباراته، ويسعد ان شاء الله اهل قطر والخليجيين وكل العرب بالفوز في اول مباراه في مونديال قطر 2022.
اللهم امين. يعني دائما بندعي دعواتنا، قلوبنا، عيوننا كلياتها مع المنتخب العنابي اليوم. نتمنى الفوز له، يعني فوز عنابي، فوز عربي، يعني يرفع هيك يكبر قلبنا، او بالاحرى شو ما كانت النتيجه. يعني زي ما ذكرت قبل، قطر فائزه في كاس العالم،
لكن ان شاء الله بعد فوز
ان شاء الله بعد فوز زياده الخير خيرين، مش هيك بيقولوا؟
باذن الله ان شاء الله.
وهلا يا سعود ما بعرف اذا في عندنا مراسلين بعد ولا احنا معطينهم بريك صغير لما
والله المراسلين طبعا وزملائنا ما قصروا اليوم معنا في التغطيه ومستمرين اكيد طبعا في تغطيتنا الاستثنائيه لكأس العالم فيفا قطر 2022. ونذكركم طبعا خلاص ما بقى إلا القليل وينطلق مونديال قطر 2022 رسميا من استاد البيت في هذا الحفل الافتتاحي اللي إن شاء الله يكون حفل استثنائي. وهناك أكيد طبعا مفاجآت لكم أنتم من طبعا من المدرجات، بالإضافة إلى الفعاليات اللي موجودة في مختلف مناطق الدولة. نتكلم عن لوسيل، كتارا، الكورنيش، الفيفا فان فيستيفال، جزيرة المها، في كل مكان في قطر بتلاقي فعالية.
أكيد طبعا، وإحنا هون يعني برنامج فانز حنكون مع المشاهدين على قدم وساق وعلى كل الفعاليات في كل أرجاء يعني المنطقة. هون رح ننقل لكم إياها بتفاصيل تفاصيلها، من هون من الدوحة، من الفان زونز، من الفيستيفالز، من الكارنفالز، من كل الفعاليات اللي رح تكون مراسلينا منتشرين في كل الدوحة لينقلوا الصورة الحقيقية.
نعم، خاصة يعني اليوم الشيء الجميل اللي احنا شفناه من أرضية استاد البيت، الحضور المبكر من الجماهير القطرية العربية والجماهير من مختلف بلدان العالم طبعا لحضور أولا هذا الحفل الاستثنائي، هذا العرس العالمي اللي ننتظره في كل 4 سنوات مرة. ولكن هذه السنة عندنا في بلادنا طبعا مشاهدينا احنا مستمرين ان شاء الله معاكم في برنامج فانز، ولكن الان ننتقل الى برنامج المجلس وللزميل خالد جاسم. خالد تفضل، والله يمسيك بالخير والكلمه عندك.
شكرا لك يا سعود المعاضيد، وشكرا لك يا ساره ناصر، وحياكم الله وقواكم الله على تعبكم انتم وكل اسره قناه الكاس من الصبح وانتم شغالين، قواكم الله.
I heard something beautiful, not just music, but also this call to celebration.
إن شاء الله هذه دعوة سمعناها منذ لحظات، ندعوكم فيها إلى حفل الافتتاح في الاستاد الكبير استاد البيت، اللي العالم كله اليوم سوف يتجه إلى هذا الاستاد لنلتقي جميعا في احتفالية جميلة، احتفالية المونديال المنتظر من 12 سنة، ونحن ننتظر هذه اللحظة الجميلة، اللحظة الكبيرة، اللحظة العملاقة، الحلم اللي بإذن الله تعالى يتحول إلى حقيقة. الجميع اتجه إلى الخور، مدينة الخور الساحلية الجميلة اللي فيها البر وفيها البحر وفيها الناس الطيبين، فيها امتداد أهل قطر الطيبين. اليوم إن شاء الله راح نحتفل جميعا من هناك. طبعا الحفل يعني لم يتبقى عليه إلا قليل من الوقت، ودائما وأبدا احتفالات كأس العالم يعني احتفالات مبسطة، احتفالات بسيطة، احتفالات ما فيها فقرات طويلة، بحكم أن الفيفا أصلا يرفض أن احنا نعمل حفلات أو يرفض حتى المنظمين يسوون حفلات بشكل كبير أو مطولة، لأن في مباراة لازم تقام بعدها مباشرة. اليوم عندنا ضيوف جايين من مختلف أقطاب الدول العربية، راح يرافقون إن شاء الله في التغطية للأحداث والمباريات والتحليل الفني. وقد أبدأ أولا بشخص عزيز علينا، شخص عاش بيننا فترات طويلة، درب عندنا، درب منتخبنا الوطني، درب في أندية كثيرة في قطر، وعاصر معنا تطور وإنجازات كبيرة في عالم كرة القدم القطرية، وهو الكابتن العزيز والقدير الكابتن حسن حرمة الله. قواك الله يا كابتن، وحييك على لبسك العنابي اليوم.
تماما. هذا لوني العنابي، لأن من طبيعة الحال اليوم سأرى أولادي، بعد أولادي الهيدوس وسعد الشيب، هادو كانوا معي صغار في المنتخب الأولمبي، وأنا شرف لي كبير اليوم أن أكون حاضر معكم. أشكركم على الاستدعاء، وأشكر الاتحاد القطري على هذه الاستدعاء، كذلك مع قناة الكأس. ومن طبيعة الحال أنا جد مبسوط بوجودي معكم لرؤية الافتتاح ولو على الشاشة، ولرؤية المباريات، ولرؤية اللي نقدر نقول أولادي الآن اللي حققوا الحلم.
في بال وفي طبعا قلب كل مشجع وكل زائر إلى دولة قطر.
يعني أنا بحس إنه عم بنحاول ننقل الفايبس أو ننقل روح الشارع القطري، نعم. أو روح الجمهور العربي العالمي القطري اللي حاليا متواجد على أرض الدوحة، ولو بشكل جدا بسيط. يعني الكلمات ما عم تقدر.
في بال وفي طبعا قلب كل مشجع وكل زائر إلى دولة قطر.
يعني أنا بحس إنه عم بنحاول ننقل الفايبس أو ننقل روح الشارع القطري، نعم. أو روح الجمهور العربي العالمي القطري اللي حاليا متواجد على أرض الدوحة، ولو بشكل جدا بسيط. يعني الكلمات ما عم تقدر.
في بال وفي طبعا قلب كل مشجع وكل زائر إلى دولة قطر.
يعني أنا بحس إنه عم بنحاول ننقل الفايبس أو ننقل روح
وفي طبعا قلب كل مشجع وكل زائر إلى دولة قطر.
يعني أنا بحس إنه عم بنحاول ننقل الفايبس أو ننقل روح الشارع القطري، نعم. أو روح الجمهور العربي العالمي القطري اللي حاليا متواجد على أرض الدوحة، ولو بشكل جدا بسيط. يعني الكلمات ما عم تقدر
في بال وفي طبعا قلب كل مشجع وكل زائر
أكيد طبعا.
إلى دولة قطر.
يعني أنا بحس إنه عم بنحاول ننقل الفايبس أو ننقل روح
قلب كل مشجع وكل زائر
أكيد طبعا.
إلى دولة قطر.
يعني أنا بحس إنه عم بنحاول ننقل الفايبس أو ننقل روح الشارع القطري أو روح الجمهور العربي العالمي القطري اللي حاليا متواجد على أرض الدوحة ولو بشكل جدا بسيط. يعني الكلمات ما عم تقدر
قلب كل مشجع وكل زائر
أكيد طبعا.
إلى دولة قطر.
يعني أنا بحس إنه عم بنحاول ننقل الفايبس أو ننقل روح الشارع القطري أو روح الجمهور العربي العالمي القطري اللي حاليا متواجد على أرض الدوحة ولو بشكل جدا بسيط. يعني الكلمات ما عم تقدر
قلب كل مشجع وكل زائر
أكيد طبعا.
إلى دولة قطر.
يعني أنا بحس إنه عم بنحاول ننقل الفايبس أو ننقل روح الشارع القطري أو روح الجمهور العربي العالمي القطري اللي حاليا متواجد على أرض الدوحة ولو بشكل جدا بسيط. يعني الكلمات ما عم تقدر
because they've been playing together, for a long time.
Since 2019, the Asian Cup win. What benefits does that give? That the players are in a camp, they're living together, they're playing together, working together?
When you look at the stat where all of them have more than, the 11 starting players, they have more than 1,000, of caps.
Yes.
It means that, yes, the collective aspect is there. They don't have that individual player that will really make the difference. They have a collective and they have the belief. And on home soil, I've been playing in France at the time and win the World Cup. That adrenaline, when you play on your home soil, they have to capture it and transmit it into, a positive energy and performance.
Yeah, and like were you saying back in 1998 in Marseille against South Africa, what was that like? Do you remember it like it was yesterday?
It was awful. It was awful. I imagine the pressure that the boys are going to have, the heat, the adrenaline playing for your nation. You are prepared, but really you have to cope with the pressure that is coming on. For us, it was awful. We managed to win, and winning gives the confidence. They are in a difficult group. Very difficult.
And what is the journey like? So obviously you got to the final and beat Brazil. What is it like? Is it like a mountain where you take it step by step?
We took step by step because we knew we were not the best at the time. They know also that they are not of the best team in the tournament, but they can build up that confidence. We had a World Cup in 2002 where Korea, Japan it was. Korea will reach the semi-final. We hope that Qatar will be in the same dynamic. Match after match, they build up their capacity and they surprise everyone, physically, technically. I hope they'll be able to do it.
I'm glad you mentioned 2002 because obviously France were knocked out to the group stage after winning it in 1998. France find themselves in this position again after winning it in Russia. What's your hopes, the chances of France to win it this time around?
Lots of injuries. Obviously, I know you're going to ask me about Benzema.
Yes.
Surprising. I would say that they won it without Benzema in 2018. Don't forget, it's a blow. It's a big blow not having Benzema in your system because it brings, an attention, something special. But if the front three have a nice animation in their capability and position, they might surprise everyone again. Tchouaméni is there. We lost, Pogba, Kanté, but we have a new generation that's coming up.
Yeah, so France in a couple of days, they kick off. Marcel, thank you very much indeed. You have a busy evening, don't you? But it's Qatar, Ecuador coming up right here on beIN Sports. Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. And of course, Marcel Desailly, Le Roc, Le Legend, Marcel. Somewhere down there, the Ecuadorians, I believe. There we are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's It's all gone very well so far.
Well, we're here.
Yes. I'm not sure the Qataris are yet, but Ecuador are en route. There's a very divided opinion about them, I've found, Andy. That some are telling me that this is going to be a difficult evening for Qatar. Others that they've not been in the best of form, that they're still looking to try and find it. Does any of that matter when you come into a tournament?
Well, listen, I think there are teams that have won this finding form when they get to the tournament. I think Italy won it when they drew their all 3 games that they played in the group, went on to win it. There are teams who like to come into it in form. I don't think Brazil and Argentina are feeling too down at the moment, and they are, I feel, probably in as good a form as anybody. So I'm not sure it matters whether you're in form or you find it when you get here. But Ecuador, I don't know what we're going to get. They qualified really well. It's a tough group, the South American one. They've done well, but from talking to people, I get the impression this is a side that it's going to be 4 years down the line, it'll be much better. It's quite a young side, basically, and it needs a little bit of experience. But listen, I don't think it'll be easy for Qatar.
If you're not in form, Gary, do you convince yourself that it's a good thing to come into the tournament not playing well and that you'll get better, or are you conning yourselves? You'd rather hit the ground running?
You do need to hit the ground running. I think the pressure for them is that they have to win this game to progress in the group, with the other 2 teams, Senegal and Holland. So that's adds a little bit more pressure to them. I think that when I played in the World Cup for the first game, I was incredibly nervous. The most nervous I think I've ever been in a football match was my first game in the World Cup. I can remember it to this day. And I think if it was the second game in '98, so a little bit Romania, we lost. Okay. I didn't play in the first game against Tunisia. I just remember being incredibly nervous, and I think those Qatari players.
Didn't we lose to a late pen?
We did, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
But Qatari.
I can see it now. Was it left-hand side of the box? Very late on.
Near me.
Reckless challenge. Near you, wasn't it?
Left side that wouldn't get it now.
Different tournament. No, but I'm thinking about the Qataris. All that preparation for 5-6 months, and the nerves and anxiety and thrill that they must be feeling now is unbelievable.
Do you think thrill? Because that's when you're talking, I'm interested. As I said, this is all of a sudden very different, isn't it? This is another level. This is the World Cup, and you're the hosts.
It's an out-of-body experience, I think, for the players. Their bodies will have never felt like they're going to feel in that tunnel before they go out today. I don't think that's how I felt going out into a World Cup game.
But I do think with that lack of experience in World Cups, that could serve them well as well. So they could catch Ecuador a little bit cold early on. I expect the first game, like you're saying there, as a player and an individual, you come into these games going, you want to start well. Yeah. Everything's a little bit cagey. Everyone's kind of, feeling each other out. I think if Qatar come out here and start really well, they could possibly catch them. Yeah.
Let me catch them cold. Do you think this is a game, when you look at the group, you touched on the group, the other 2, Senegal and Netherlands, is this a game that both these coaches must be sitting there thinking, we need to win?
Yeah, I think absolutely. That is it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That they can
good thing for us.
Yeah, it's a good thing, I think, because both of them, I think, will think that they have to win. Any point in the game, if it's a draw, I think if they think they're going to progress, they've got to go for the win. Particularly Ecuador, I think they'll have to take risks.
You?
I think
and if that's the case, do you come out all guns blazing, or do you, even though you're actually accepting of the scenario, got to win, you don't have to win in the first minute, do you?
No, you definitely don't. I think it's easy saying that from the studio. It's a different feeling. We've played in them. Yeah. It's really different. Like I said, as an individual, you want to start well. You don't want to make a mistake at this big stage. A lot of responsibility on these guys' shoulders today.
So, in terms of who might win, we turn to the experts, of course, and get thoughts, or you can do as beIN Sports did this week and go to the animal park at Al Khor, and there's a couple of pandas down there that are rated. No, stay with me. That are rated for their football knowledge, and every game, these 2 guys are going to make a prediction about the winner. Well, I'm not sure whether that was Tuhail or Saria, but whichever it was, is fired.
Panda won't be getting any food tonight, I'll tell you.
It was also mentioned, I wish you'd been here watching that, it was mentioned that area that the Pandas have enjoyed their day in is bigger than John's hotel room.
Yeah, it was. Let me ask you as well, people watching this maybe not coming to football for the first time, seeing the teams arrive now. Well, I'm just looking at my watch, it's 2 hours, 5 minutes to kick off. Tell people, is there an advantage or disadvantage to arriving as early as this?
I didn't like it.
I hated it.
I mean, I have to say, even arriving here 5 hours early.
I hated it. I know, that was tough. Sorry about that, guys. Wasn't our choice.
About 14 days.
Yeah. I didn't like it, Gary.
Sitting in the dressing room for all that time thinking, because your preparation kicks in an hour before for me, so I always start, so you're just waiting around, you're coming out onto the pitch, you're just trying to waste time, aren't you? And run the clock down.
Yeah. You'll always get a mix within the group as well. Certain players like to get there really early. Other players, others like Gary as well. Yeah, keepers want to get there really early, go out and warm up early. But I think sometimes when you get caught in traffic and then you end up arriving late in the game, you kind of get there, get change, you're out. There's no thought process in it. Can sometimes be good for you as well.
I've heard many stories that you used to like to travel with a fair number of boots. Fact or fiction?
That's true.
Fact, yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
How many would you take with you?
Well, every game I would wear 3 pairs of boots, so one for the warm-up, one for the first half, second half.
Every game you would wear 3 pairs of boots?
Yeah. I hated it when my boots got a little bit big. So as soon as they lost that I felt like I'd lost the feel of the ball.
The warm-up. They got a little bit big in the warm-up.
They walk the pitches now. These days they walk the pitches, not like when you played.
We didn't have grass when you played.
I know. Yeah.
So you change your pair after the warm-up, you'd change your pair at the end of the first half, and by the end you'd worn 3.
Yeah. It's superstition as well.
A couple of months, mate. And in training.
Yeah, but you was with high tech or something. Nike.
So you would take delivery of new boots on a match-by-match basis?
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you kept them all?
No, I used to donate them to charity, so Make-A-Wish, I'm still an ambassador, so there was a lot of good that come out of it as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
A pair used to last me a season.
If you actually wore a new pair of boots every half, how did you slip in there? Studs have gone.
My studs for that fight, for all games were like 15 and 14, which were like as big as you could go back in the day. So
15 mil.
I still look at those boots and go, yeah, why?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate.
Didn't hear Gary made reference again, I think, to the European Cup final, wasn't it? That when your foot went.
Yeah, thanks.
To be fair, it was wet that night.
It did. It just come down, didn't it? After extra time and.
Well, the same happened. Were you boys there in Portugal? Both of you?
Yeah.
The first penalty shootout when.
Yeah.
We were told earlier that day that the spot was loose.
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember we trained there the night before? And we'd done a couple of penalties, and it was like...
I don't remember that.
Do you not?
No, but I wouldn't have practiced.
Yeah, was it?
Ninth or 10th.
Yeah, it was really... Was it David put the first one over, wasn't it?
Well,
he did miss, yeah.
Bex missed, yeah. That was really bad. I took one, and I was actually aiming that way, and it hit the bobble and went straight down the middle.
That wouldn't be the first time that happened, would it?
Well, I scored that one.
I think that's really early. I wouldn't want to walk in there.
To be fair, we've all been panicked into thinking there's going to be a lot more traffic, and actually the traffic doesn't seem to be too bad at the moment, does it?
I love the fact they're in shorts and t-shirt. Do you remember we had to go to shirt and tie?
Was it shirt and tie? Was that Fabio Capello?
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah. We begged and pleaded with the FA and Fabio to go to the game in shorts and t-shirts. We were playing Germany, and we got off the bus. Germany turned up like that, and all of us were sweating. And
but Sir Alex used to make us wear away games, shirt and tie. Yeah, Blazers.
Yeah, but it was all right in England, wasn't it?
-4.
You see, the traditionalists amongst us who watched the game, we liked the way Manchester United travelled. And when the lads arrived suited and booted, you go, oh yeah, they're ready for action. Business-like, we like that. But it has changed, hasn't it?
It has changed. I think there's also an element of the people who are watching football aren't wearing ordinarily shirt and tie, so that's why the players, I think, now just... managers are more relaxed with the music. You know, I remember there was many years where I played at United, there wasn't music in the dressing room, and then it all changed. Patrice Evra, Rio Ferdinand came in, Wayne Rooney, all of a sudden the music was in the dressing room, it all just adapted overnight and became a very much more relaxed, informal atmosphere. I think that's what you're seeing there in Ecuador.
Let me ask you this quickly. I know it's nothing to do with it, but I've always been fascinated with this because Fergie, like obviously the greatest manager around, but he's a manager who transgressed the old and the new, right? Yeah. How did he cope with that change in the dressing room? Was he, you know what I mean? Because he really was an old-fashioned manager when you started.
He adapted to the lot. The last adaptation he had to make was to social media. I remember the last couple of years that I was there, Twitter had just come in, and he couldn't understand for the life of him how players would be on social media. But he was adapting to that even. The mandatory press conferences, the social media, the music in the dressing room, all these things. He adapted to them because he knew he had to. That's how I think he transitioned.
Did his rollickings get softer and softer?
Yeah, and his adaptation. I was thinking about how he used to handle, say, Cristiano or Nani and Anderson towards the end, who didn't want to play football at Christmas. They were used to having Christmas breaks. He would send them off for a week at Christmas, whether it be before Christmas or just after. He'd always give them that week with the family to adapt it. Yeah, he was smart. He adapted like that.
What struck me about that dressing room is that it's very modern. It's in the oval shape, isn't it? That's an absolute must, it seems, for a modern football club these days.
One of the English kings, was it, from years ago, that had Richard that's where it came from.
Was it?
There was a psychologist with England that we had. I don't know if you remember Bill Beswick. Yeah. And he sat us once in this circle and he said, everyone's equal, basically. There's no one sat in front of anyone else and everyone can see each other. And there was this sort of circular dressing room. I think City have got the same thing.
I think Guardiola was the first to say that we need to change this now.
I think it comes from an old English king.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Good, might be wrong.
Good to hear as well.
Arthur.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yes. It was somebody.
Where's Arthur and his round table?
Have you got that in your ear?
No. By the way,
give me the earpiece.
No, I have not. I can honestly say that. Just plucked that out.
Yeah. Spoiled it. Went quiet for a minute and then went Arthur.
No.
Now then, you're right, John. Or was it Gary? You mentioned traffic. Not so much of it.
No.
The hosts are on the way. A fixture that, of course, wasn't scheduled to be played.
No.
But I think the change was right, wasn't it? Did the hosts in my time? I've always expected the hosts to open a tournament. That's how it is, surely.
Yeah, you would have thought so. It's a good time of night to be playing as well.
Yeah, it's nice.
The fear over the heat's not here. I mean, to be fair, there's a massive wind and breeze out there, and it's about 24, 25 degrees. I remember playing in Brazil. I think I was coached with Roy in Brazil. It was 40 degrees in Manaus. We said about 2006.
Well, yes.
In Germany, it was 38
By the way,
degrees.
They're all air conditioned. I was down here pitch side yesterday and actually cold. Seriously, cold. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be working tonight or not. I think the breeze, Andy, we call it shamal locally, don't we?
Just critical. They have to get the pitches wet. They have to get the pitches moist, because I think if they can get the pitches moist, the temperature's good, the football should be good. I always think the pitch is good, the temperature's good.
It'll be interesting to see the water at winner.
Yeah, they should do. Because I think,
keep an eye on that.
That was the worst one, the sticky pitches where the ball wouldn't travel, and then you get a poor game of football. So I think it's really important to get that water on the pitch.
Yeah, which is a very good point, well made, because maybe it is a bit early, but I would have expected to have seen it being watered by now.
Depends if the host might want it dry. So
that's the other thing.
They might dictate that.
But there's a rule brought in by FIFA that every pitch has to be now the same, I think, height of grass, and they all have to.
That is correct.
Yeah, and all that sort of stuff's been taken out of the other games and shit. I did that in Valencia when I played Real Madrid.
Now we have a
cow patch. I left the grass that long.
Breaking news! I can tell you why they're not watering it. It will be watered immediately after the opening ceremony.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
That makes sense.
All pre-planned.
Makes people change their boots as well when they get too soft.
Honestly, I can't believe.
I'm staggered.
I still can't.
A pair of boots for the warm up. Right, get rid of it.
Did you get blisters though? No, blisters with new boots?
Never. No? It was night. They were good. They were better.
Did you have that big bridge in the back?
The FIFA president Gianni Infantino popped into beIN Sports studios yesterday on the cusp of the tournament. These were his final thoughts.
Well, we are all very excited for the World Cup to finally kick off. It will be the best World Cup ever, as simple as that. Qatar is ready, the city is ready, the stadiums are beautiful, state of the art, the metro, everything is geared up. The Corniche looks beautiful, the fans are coming, the teams are already here. It was about time that the World Cup comes to the Arab world. As we know, in the Arab world, we experienced it last year with the FIFA Arab Cup. We have 450 million Arabs living in the Arab world, and probably another few hundred million Arabs living around the world. And 99.99% of these are crazy football fans. And to be able to bring the World Cup in this region for all the Arabs to feel the pride and to celebrate welcoming the world to their region is crucial. And I think what is crucial as well is that this World Cup will contribute to open the eyes to many people from all over the world who look at the Arab world with prejudice, with suspicion, with negativity. We know that. And they will come here, they will experience a country which is very Arab, but very open as well. A country where you can come and celebrate with your friends the World Cup football. So this cultural enrichment of the world coming to the Arab world and the Arab world presenting itself to the world is something that only the World Cup can bring. A World Cup is a unique event. Here it's even more unique because the whole country, the whole city is geared up as a football theme park almost. So the advice, the opinion for everyone is, come and enjoy the football. Go to watch games every day. You are not Argentinian, but you have the possibility to go and watch Messi because he's here. You're not Portuguese, but you have the opportunity to go and watch Ronaldo. You're not French, but you can go and watch Messi, or Mbappé, or Neymar for Brazil, the same, or many others. So go do that, but enjoy as well the country, enjoy Qatar, enjoy the Corniche, enjoy the fan areas, enjoy the FIFA Fan Fest, enjoy the DAOs, enjoy the desert. Go and live experiences of the local culture and the local cuisine, because you will keep these memories for your whole life, I'm sure.
So many things that he said there he's right about. One of them being that there's been some criticism of this state, this country, that it's not a football hotbed. Well, let me tell you something. As someone who's lived here with Andy for the best part of the last decade, it is. And what I've always argued, Andy, and that's with, it'd be interesting to hear what Gary and John think about it, but I've always felt that we moved to a place whereby big teams play big matches outside of the borders of their own country. And that doesn't deny the right of a supporter to watch them. It means you take your team to the place of others who support Manchester United as strongly as they do in this part of the world. And they get the opportunity to see players real time. And that's different when you see the guys, you boys, come and play. Manchester United have got more fans outside of Manchester than they have within the city.
Yeah, look, I've travelled all around the world playing with Manchester United, to the Middle East, to the Far East, to Asia, to Africa, to Australasia, and there's no doubt we should be taking football all around the world. I mean, he's a terrible face for football, that guy. Some of the things he said yesterday were inappropriate and shouldn't be said by him. He should be statesman-like. He should be bringing people together. He's the global representative of football, not answering to one or two nations, which he seemed to be doing yesterday. He's got to rise above it. I'm sick of these leaders like Johnson, like Trump, like Infantino, like Blatter, who, to be fair, they don't unite, they divide. All their language is about division. Even though they try and think they're bringing people together, they're not. And I have to say, some of his language yesterday about I'm a migrant worker, I am disabled, it's an absolute scandal. He shouldn't be using that type of language. He shouldn't be using those phrases, in my opinion. And to be fair, I think FIFA is a poor representation of what football is, which is a beautiful game enjoyed by communities in Brazil, to Berry, to Bolivia, to Peru, to everywhere. And I have to say, I think FIFA needs to clean up its act. It's been bad for so long, and my personal feeling is with Infantino that he's directly he's putting himself back in power again, it looks like, for another 4 years. There's no transparency, there's no independence.
Yes, there has been a vote to return to the president's role in the last 24 hours.
That's football's problem. It's representative of sort of the hierarchy and elite and rich in life. We've got to have independence. We've got to have, we've got to have a democracy. It elects himself back into a position. And then he's the worst face, I think, to try and present a Middle Eastern, an Arab and a Muslim in a Qatar World Cup. So for me, I'm not a great fan of Infantino. Ultimately, I'm going to say that. and I don't think he represents world football very well.
It is worth pointing out at this stage that Gary and I have had this conversation already this afternoon, and we're in opposite corners, as I think I have been with much of what Gary has had to say. Sadly, we don't have the time.
I'd want to be in opposite corners. Yeah, that's exactly where I'd like to be.
Sadly, we don't have the time now to expand this conversation. But I understand where you're coming from, but of course the counter-argument is that, very briefly, and I'll make it short.
Can I make my point brief back as well?
Yeah. What a lot of Infantino had to say yesterday, I felt was born of the frustration that people in this part of the world, and I include myself in them, have felt about the criticism that has been dumped, for want of a better word, on this festival, on this World Cup. I defend and have done stoutly and will continue to do so the right of the Arab world, and you've mentioned that, in fairness, to host a World Cup. I'm very grateful to everybody that has put up with Andy and I for the last decade here. And they've worked very hard to this moment, and I'm very happy that that's the case. I know what you're saying about Gianni Infantino.
There is a mature argument and debate and conversation to have.
Agreed.
But you've got to have it from leaders who, to be fair, represent all the nations in the world. What he did yesterday was in my opinion, it was inappropriate. And I have to say, I come from a country that doesn't do everything perfectly. We've got a current Home Secretary that's serving, calling people who try and basically seek refuge in our country, and she's calling them invaders. I despise it. But I also despise the idea of migrant workers, to be fair, not being paid enough money over here or working in poor conditions. We can have this mature debate through football. What I love about football is that football brings these debates to the table. All the other sectors in the world don't bring these things to the table, whether it be royal families, whether it be politicians, whether it be banks, whether it be institutions. They all seem to be able to brush it under the carpet. Football actually does have that debate and challenge it, and I'm proud of that. But I don't think he's a face for football, because football should, for me, bring people together. The leader of football in this world should bring people together in unity all the time, and shouldn't speak in a divisive manner. That was Trump-esque yesterday. We don't want that anymore. We've had enough. 5-6 years of this type of leadership is poor. We can't keep listening to these types of leaders in positions of power. We can't. And that's nothing to do with Qatar. That's to do with FIFA. You know, I absolutely believe the World Cup should be in a Muslim country, it should be in an Arab country, it should be in the Middle East. And if it's going to be in the Middle East, then it's going to have to be in a country that has basically some of the practices that are consistent across the Middle East. But we're not always perfect in England. No. We're terrible in England at certain things. We're terrible. I hate certain parts of how our society, with Brexit and with how we treat immigrants in our country, it's terrible. It's terrible what we do.
That's where you and I do agree. I mean, we're coming from the same half of the political divide in that respect. So, yeah, I understand entirely what you're saying, but the mature debate that you're asking for, I hope we do have time to have during the course of this World Cup. Well, yeah, but we've got other things to celebrate today, and I don't want to really get bogged down. I don't want to get bogged down on that. But we
can let you two go and have the debate. John and I will stay here and do the football.
I hear your frustration on the leadership, and I hear and understand your frustration from your side of the argument regarding what Infantino had to say yesterday, but on my side of the fence, I think there was a lot of warmth towards what he had to say yesterday, because I can see your brows furrowing.
Where's the warmth?
I think, sorry to interject, I think let's get away from that. Let's focus on the football side of it. I went for a run last night along the seafront.
Infantino there?
Captain, leader, legend.
And you know what? There were 4 kids, one in the Chelsea shirt, one in the Barcelona shirt, one in the PSG shirt, and one in the Qatar shirt. And the kids are all liking football, had the football at their feet, they're outside playing. And for me, this has given that next generation opportunity to see what the best players want to do.
It's brought Messi here, it's brought Neymar here, and Mbappe here,
and what that will do
Harry Kane here.
In 10 years' time or 20 years' time, like Gaz said, everything's not perfect in the world. Certainly not in the UK, and not here, not anywhere else. But what that will do for the next generation will be huge, and we'll see that in time.
Yes. I think we can agree to agree on that.
I think there's a time for a debate with you two, absolutely 100%, but I don't think it's today.
Andrew, I'm with you in that respect as well. We have a football match to look forward to, an opening ceremony very shortly, and we have immediately Carrie Brown.
Thank you, Richard. It's my pleasure to be joined here by a true World Cup legend, Alessandro Del Piero. Alessandro, taking this scene, how are you feeling about this World Cup in Qatar and this magnificent upsetting because the fans, the atmosphere is bouncing now.
Well, with all the respect, thank you very much for having me. With all the respect, I would love to be there on the pitch, not here, but I can't anymore, like a lot of us. So I'm enjoying this moment. This is a unique moment for the world of football, of course, for many reasons. And the open ceremony, the first game, is the most exciting day if your country is not playing the World Cup. So for me, it's the most exciting game, okay?
Okay, do we do it now? How upsetting for you that Italy are not here after winning the Euros. It's heartbreaking for us all. We're missing the sights of Chiesa on this pitch.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we were still recovering from the last World Cup that we didn't get in. And now we have this blast of the Euros that we want to say, okay, we are back in the building. And then again, it's the heart is broken, of course, on the sports side, and it's painful, of course. I hope we need to put a lot of hope for the next one.
We all hope to see Italy back on the world stage. What I want to ask you is what those players will be feeling in the dressing room right now. We've seen the coaches arrive. They've gone in, opening their own home World Cup. What are those nerves like?
Well, I think all your life comes in those minutes before you get in. And I'm not talking also about your sports life as a professional football player, but I'm talking generally speaking, the people that is around you, the people that help you to reach that, the people that hates you, the people that are talking about your performances and what is around you. So that is a unique moment, and for the Qatar team is more unique as well because they play home. Not a lot of football players that have this opportunity. For example, I didn't have this opportunity, so having your World Cup in your home, it's priceless. And they're going to be a lot nervous. Emotional side is going to be a huge game for them.
We all remember one of the best goals scored in World Cup football, your beautiful goal coming from nowhere in the final moments to get you into the semi-final, and that iconic image after those penalties of you holding the World Cup. What does it mean to have that World Cup in your hand?
I don't know exactly to explain you what does it mean. I mean, it's more than a cup, than a winning goal. If you're a striker, you live for the goal. But no, it's more. You really feel complete in that moment. You feel, wow, it's happening to me for real. I've been all through this journey for this amazing moment. Everything seems that you fly, and that you are floating in the sky. And this is still going. I mean, I'm enjoying it.
I have to ask you, a Juventus legend, your longest-serving, highest-scoring player of the club, your reaction to a former Juventus player, Ronaldo, his interview, his imminent, apparently, departure from Manchester United. How is he handling the end of his career? Your thoughts and your advice for him, because it's very hard when there's stars like you to see the end of a career.
Well, I don't know why he did that in that way. For me, it's too much. But for sure, he went all in. He went all in, talking about another kind of... he put all the pressure on him now. And this is his last World Cup. Maybe he thought about that. And of course, he was facing a very unique situation for him. He never... nobody put him, in a challenge situation like, oh, you might play, you might not. Maybe I put you in for 10 minutes or not. This is not Ronaldo way to think the football for himself. So it's a new situation. I hope we're gonna perform well to the World Cup. I don't like to see Ronaldo and Man United that are very close to each other in this situation. I don't like to see it. I'm not happy about that. But sometimes this is how things go. So I wish both of them a good luck to find a nicer solution than this one.
Well, he's sure to start on this stage, and we can't wait for the opening ceremony. I just caught you bopping to Coldplay. I caught him. So we're ready to enjoy the opening ceremony for back to you in the studio.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carrie. Everywhere you look right now, there is someone of that stature. Not just players that we were discussing on the pitch that we've all come to watch, but those who have previously entertained us are milling about off the pitch. And what always fascinates me is the guys. Yeah, we've all got our favourites, but Gary, there's one of your favourites.
He's the first player I ever asked to swap shirts with. They give us lessons in Europe in the early days, in the sort of mid-90s, with Del Piero, Boksic, Deschamps, Ciro Ferrara, Zidane. It was the most incredible teams I've ever played against, but he was playing directly on that left-hand side of a front three against me, and I was mesmerised by his quality, his intelligence. He's a brilliant player. I used to think he played the game in a great spirit as well.
Did you give him a kick?
No. He was one of those that played away from you.
Oh, right.
So he made you feel like he had a good game, but actually never got tackled on him. You know them ones, don't you?
Never got near him.
Did he ask for your shirt back? Or?
No, yes, a Phil Devils. They've timed it better, haven't they? I would have thought the local intelligence that.
Yeah.
So an hour and a half before? Hour and 3/4?
Hour and 3/4, that's not bad.
Still slightly early though, isn't it?
Yeah, but they look like they've had a slow journey in, like they've enjoyed it on the way.
Well, the journey that they've made to this point has lasted about 6 months.
Yes. Well, in actual fact, Richard, the journey that the country's made has lasted about 12 years. I mean, they set their stall out when they got this, with the Aspire Academy and everything.
But preparation by this team for this tournament.
This team is a lot of this team are 32, 31, 30 years of age who have been in this group for a long time, and everything has been geared to this day for this game, the opening game. And I agree with Gary when he was talking about nerves. I mean, these guys must be feeling more nervous than anybody. The pressure on them is horrendous. And I just hope they can cope with that. I mean, they've coped all right in the Asian Cup. They won that two years ago, 2019. Yeah. And they were terrific when they beat the likes of Korea, Japan.
In very difficult political circumstances as well. Let's not forget that.
There was a blockade on then, as well.
Conceding just the one goal along the way. It was a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
You mentioned Aspire. We have a fitness coach at Manchester United under Carlos Queiroz, Volta de Salvo. And Volta's been the director of performance and football at the Aspire. And still is to this day. So in terms of fitness, I can vouch for him 100%. He was 2 years at United with us. He's been working with the team closely. They'll be fit and they'll be ready. And I have to say, the one advantage I think they have is that they're a club side. They're not an international side. They're a club side.
Yeah, it's a very good
club side. They could go away for 6 months basically. Yeah. Play all over the world. Get games in as much as you can. Yeah. Train. Get yourself ready.
Well, I see a group of them recently. I was on holiday in Dubai and they were there training. And I said, like, with the World Cup coming, you're pulling it back now. The training there was like, no, we're training as hard as we've ever done.
True.
This is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I think there's a model. I mean, South Korea were referenced before. I think South Korea have got more talented players, obviously, but I think they did something similar before their home World Cup and did very well out of it. And it is a massive advantage for them to have been together for so long. It has to be.
Do you think we should mention that no host has ever lost the opening game?
I don't think you should. No host has ever lost the opening game, no.
Only South Africa have failed to come out of the group.
Correct.
But I'm not sure they'll lose.
No, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure they'll lose. Ecuador have struggled to score goals.
I'm not predicting it.
No,
I just.
That's a fact.
I don't want it.
Yeah, that's a fact. No, we don't want it. No, obviously not for the country, no.
I mean, they're different than changing rooms in our day, aren't they?
Yeah, a little slightly better.
That looks like somewhere you'd like to go and party in disco, isn't it? Is disco still a word?
Is that TVs above them as well? Is that TV screens at the top?
Is that the names on there? It looks like digital screens with names on, is it? Or yeah.
What it is in stark contrast to Selhurst Park.
It's funny how you talk about how the game's changed. Richard and I were down at the touchline yesterday. We're walking past the dugouts, and not so much you, but even in your beginning of your day, I think the dugouts had about 6 or 7 people in them.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
That would be how many seats did you count?
27 seats.
27 seats.
They've got in the UK little heated switches now, heated seats.
Yeah. Man, you used to have 2 masseurs, didn't you? On your own. It was him that started that, by the way.
Yeah, it will probably.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that Asian Cup win. Very well received, obviously, in this country, but it was not just something that happened, Andy. Again, preparation had been a little bit like this, hadn't it? I mean, Gary's talking about club side. There is an attitude in that respect that these boys have, and they can play.
Well, I mean, a lot depends. We were talking about it earlier on him. Almo's Ali, who was a top goal scorer in this tournament. I think he got 9 goals. He was terrific, and they can do things like that. There is a school of thought that says that they've dipped a little since then. They're not quite at that force that they were in 2019. But if ever there was a time to find it again, then it's now.
Look, you think about going back to when we were growing up and Scandinavian football was really struggling, African football was non-existent, and you think about the advent of different continents and where footballers have massive impact. That is, swinging it towards the impact. So we talk about a lack of Muslim representation, Asian representation, English football in the Premier League. Even though we've got a large Asian population, you want this World Cup to drive that quality and that standard forward and to create dreams. There's one of the is that Cafu next to him? Is it Cafu next to Kalina?
Yeah. I'm not sure about Kalina. He cost Everton a place in the Champions League. He did.
How?
Terrible decision he gave against Duncan Ferguson.
Okay.
Yeah,
honestly, shocking.
It's the last game.
I've got a soft spot for Kalina. He was the 99 Nou Camp.
Was he there? Was he there?
Yeah, he was the referee. He was also the referee in Munich when we won 5-1 against Germany.
I was there that night. I was in Munich.
I was there for both those games.
Yeah, didn't make the squad that one.
In Russia, the South American fans lit up the place like you wouldn't believe.
I think you might find that again.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Well, they've been in early, the Ecuadorian fans just below us. Yeah.
I've been trying to work out whether this is a dress rehearsal for the opening ceremony or whether that actually the music is, those old-fashioned discos that you and I used to go to many years ago.
Discos.
Whether this light show is beating simultaneously with the music, I'm not sure.
No, I think it's all part of the entertainment at the moment. The big screens are full of performers.
Yeah, you're right. South American fans are different.
Yeah, they know how to party, don't they? I think the players play a little bit like that. The ones I've played with over my time, they've got a different attitude. You see, like us talking there before games would be a little bit nervous. All the players I've played with, they'll be here excited to get out there.
Do you know that the South Americans, I think, got the feeling that, we love playing for our country, didn't we? But they were a different level about playing for their country, the Argentinians, the Brazilians. Heinz used to wear an Argentina shirt under his United top.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that...
It's that important to them?
That important. So I used to think that with Anderson, I used to think that with Heinz, I used to think that with Tevez. They're just obsessed with their countries. Country was first, club was second, whereas we're a bit different, aren't we?
Yeah, that was our problem, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
it was, wasn't it? You look at our team, it was...
But England fans are like that, don't you think?
Yeah.
England fans would rather love their club. Man United fans and Chelsea fans want to see Man United and Chelsea do well.
Yeah, if you ask fans who you support, they're not going to say England. They're going to say Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal.
Correct.
That is the Al Bayt Stadium, about 36 kilometres north of the capital city, Doha, where tonight the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 opens. The home nation against Ecuador. It's live with us on beIN Sports in Arabic, English, Spanish and French, and we'll be back here for the opening ceremony almost before you've blinked.
I heard something beautiful. Not just music, but also this call to celebration.
This is my family. Every World Cup, we all get together.
Mate, let's go. Vamos.
Karim eats goals for breakfast. Leo, he's one of a kind. With Sonny, everything's brighter. Nobody's faster than Hakimi. Serge's style is unbeatable. And you can't forget about your boy Storms. When football is everything, impossible is nothing.
صحيح احنا قاعدين نصور باستديو، لكن جايبين لكم الخير، لأننا نصدق انك انت اهم من اي اعلان، ونصدق برعاية اللحظات الكبيرة، مو بس اللاعبين المشهورين.
اوكي جود chin up.
يا اخي انت تستاهل الطعم الاصلي. قلنا لك الطعم الاصلي، مو اي مشروب والسلام. اقوى دعاية كأس العالم فيفا هو كأس العالم فيفا بشحمه ولحمه.
Why do we travel? To discover the unimagined, to see new places, new realms, new worlds. We travel to step into the extraordinary, discovering not just new things to see, but new ways to be. Discover another side of yourself in Arabia.
مباراة عادية جدا لا جديد فيها
عندي،
لكن ما الذي يحدث؟ يا إلهي، ليس يتدخل، دخول قوي من هتان، فهبري يسجل موقف خطير. هذه عندك يا حكم، مرتدة سريعة بس العويسة أسرع، حاول بيوم ثاني.
من كذا أحلى معليش.
لحظات الكورة يبينها.
The game's not over yet.
We have everything to change this game. We have the will, the desire for better, the heart, and the inspiration. When we stand united for sustainability, we can still win this game. We have the people. Goal of the century.
You can now enjoy more of what you love with Etisalat's new content passes. Get 20 gigabytes of content data to enjoy more. More gaming. More music. More video streaming. And all things social. Free subscriptions and more benefits. Add content passes to your postpaid plan for only 100 dirhams.
For an easier life, for a better future, for you and for humanity. On Passive, unprecedented breakthrough in the world of technology. The future of communication, education, business administration, marketing, finance, crowdfunding. Get your free access at www.onpassive.com. Stay tuned for more.
Microsoft Cloud Data Center is here with cutting-edge technology and hundreds of trusted solutions to empower you to innovate, transform your industries, and achieve success. Invent the future with Microsoft Cloud. From Qatar to the world.
Every 4 years, something comes around where billions become a national team coach. And we learn that football is not just a sport. It's a movement that gives us the belief that we are all capable of great things. Inspiration. It's in all of us.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
So we're broadcasting the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 across 6 Max channels in Arabic, English, where there is also Spanish commentary available, as you can see, and French. We have 4K available in Arabic and English. Ah, there he is again.
Ah, that's where that Ronaldo and Messi advert came from.
Go to bein.com/Qatar 2022 for more information on how to subscribe, by the way.
I don't know about you two, but I like that trophy.
Yeah.
I think when the Gilles Rimet original one went, you kind of thought, what will they do? How will they make it even better? I think they've made it even better. I love that trophy. Yeah. Looks amazing.
I love him, Marcel, my
yeah,
hero.
He's great, isn't he?
Yeah.
You played alongside him, didn't you?
Yeah, a couple of years, yeah. Back end of his career, but he was still...
We deep then. Deep. Dropping off.
Or in my pace and his...
On the King's Road.
I wanted to park the bus before it was even invented.
This is quite a time in Qatar. This really is. This is the climax of a 12-year journey. Well, in fairness, there was a lot of hard work obviously put into the bid and prior to the decision that was made, so add 3 or 4 years probably to that. And there's been much debate about the award, about the fact that the tournament would take part in this part of the world, let alone this country. Some of it justified, and it will continue, I'm sure, across the next 4 weeks, but we are here. And we have our opening game tonight, if you've just joined us, between the hosts Qatar and Ecuador. I say again, no host nation has lost the opening match of a World Cup tournament. I don't expect that to happen tonight. Only South Africa failed to come out of the group. That's what Qatar have been working towards. That would be quite a statement for a team that are used to winning trophies these days.
No Mane for Senegal?
No.
It's a boost.
Well,
boost for these two teams.
Yeah, but for us it's not, is it?
Not for us it's not, but for these two teams it gives them maybe more of a chance.
And I think the tournament is a little bit like teams that come to these events. It will get better as it gets into its stride.
Yeah, there might be a little bit cat and mouse in the group stages, depending who you know you're going to draw. I think once this tournament hits the knockout stages, I think like most.
Yeah, you're talking football. I'm talking infrastructure, and I'm
right.
talking preparation. I'm talking about, you know, getting people to and from arenas.
Okay.
Of course, the original plan with it being a micro World Cup was to be able to watch 2 and 3 games a day. I hope that some do. What we haven't got are those thousands of miles between matches that in previous tournaments we've had to follow. Well, you're in Al Khor at the Al Bayt Stadium. Father Amir, who was in Switzerland, of course, those 12 years ago when the announcement was made. It was his dream that this should happen in his country. And tonight, that dream becomes reality. I must say, an opening ceremony down the years hasn't necessarily grasped me too much. This I am.
You've not been a fan of open ceremonies, have you?
I am.
They kind of just they're there, get them out the way, and then get on with the football type things. But this could it's very
be
difficult
special.
to know what else to do with an opening ceremony.
There was a time, I remember a couple of tournaments. I mean, we played in Euro 96, we warmed up, and then the opening ceremony was after the warm-up. We had to wait half an hour before we went back out to actually play.
And I've always made that point about opening ceremonies and players, because it's probably the only game at the tournament where you are taking second billing, isn't it?
Yeah. The players honestly will not be switched on or tuned into this at all in terms of the opening ceremony. They'll just be thinking. Totally.
So what you're saying, Gary? So plenty of guys go out and say, "Would you like to come out and watch the opening ceremony?"
That's not that.
Yeah, that reminds me of a story, Gary, from a different life. When we were at Sky and the opening game was played on a Monday night. I'm quite sure you were not necessarily a fan of the fireworks, you two, but 1-1 Manchester City and Queen's Park Rangers, and we had the firework display to follow at the end of the game. And our studio director suggested that we should wait to do the interviews with the players, because the players might want to stay and enjoy the fireworks display.
After playing 90 minutes.
I think if I had lost for United, I probably would have rather stayed outside and watched the fireworks rather than the fireworks in the dressing room.
High-profile dignitaries every which way you turn, as many as there are high-profile footballers in this part of the world at the moment. You could make 1 or 2 all-star teams, that's for sure.
Just a bit. Yeah.
Couldn't you? Well, I think there's only one individual now that we're waiting for, Andy.
Yeah.
And that is His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar. We're on the cusp of our opening ceremony now. If you've just joined us, let me tell you, we're on the cusp of the opening ceremony for the FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022. The opening game of this tournament will be played here tonight between the hosts, Qatar and Ecuador. I can see on the far side there of your picture, there's people shuffling about in front of what I imagine are enormous great flags. There will be a light show, that's for sure. Yesterday at this time, Andy and I were in the stadium, and it was shut ahead of the rehearsal, if you remember.